Good afternoon. My name is James Holland. I'm the director of the Abilene Area Chamber of Commerce, and this is Abilene Means Business. It's our monthly television show where we talk about some of our member businesses. Although today we're not going to be on that particular topic, we're going to talk about something else. But here we are. It's November, and yesterday we had a record high here in Abilene. I believe it was 82 degrees. At least the bank across the street said so. So that was pretty hot. What do you think, Troy?
I think it was unseasonably hot.
Unseasonably hot. So now I've partially introduced our guest here today. His first name is Troy. His last name is Leith, and he is the branch manager of CTI John Deere here in Abilene, which of course is a member of the chamber, and we've had Kyle Adams on before. But today we're going to talk about leadership, business leadership, leadership development and personal growth, and Troy is also the chairman of the Leadership Dickinson County program. So we're going to visit with him about that, and it's kind of a busy time of year for that organization. So Troy, tell us a little bit about yourself first of all, and then also, how did you come to be involved in the Leadership Dickinson County program?
About myself a little bit, I've been involved in other leadership programs in counties where I lived prior to moving to Dickinson County. And leadership development and training is something that I've chosen as my give back to the community effort. I believe everybody has to reach a point in their life where you've take from the community to get yourself established and going. Find out what's your passion, find out what you're good at, and then start giving back. Smaller communities like ours, I think, have a real challenge in finding good people development. And through local leadership programs, and especially what we have going on with Dickinson County Leadership Program, we can offer that into a community, be it a nonprofit organization, through boards, businesses, your management team, your staff, to develop real leadership skills and some real training on how to process information and how to work with people and how to make decisions. Through the leadership program, we have latched onto or tagged ourselves on with the Kansas Leadership Center in Wichita, who is funded by the Kansas Health Foundation. They're a fantastic organization. They have came up with a great curriculum of a way to teach leadership skills. So yes. That's kind of a quick outline of where we are today.
Yeah, and the Dickinson County Leadership Program, it's been around for several years.
Long time.
There was a time when Marsha Weaver and Doug Lindahl did all the heavy lifting. Mm-hmm. And I think we're both still around. Obviously, Doug is still on the board. But I was in the leadership class of 2005, mm-hmm. and I know there were several classes prior to that. So this is not a new program. It's something that's got a track record in the community.
It's not a new program. There was a break in the action for a few years while they kind of regrouped. It went from a get to know your community, tour the community, get to know other people in your community, and evolved kind of into this leadership training program that it is today. It still has an element of getting around the community. When we do our sessions once a year, we have 5 sessions. We meet in all different areas of the county. So we still get people around the county, but we've added a real element of training into it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of chambers of commerce that have leadership programs. Now here, over the years, it's been headed up by the Kansas or the K-State Extension Office. Or at least they've been kind of the managers of it, correct?
Yeah, it's based out of a lot of our stuff have been based out of the K-State Extension. The bylaws have a member of the extension as a liaison on the board at all times. The Community Foundation also is a real supporter mm-hmm. and involved in the program too.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about the things you actually, I mean, who typically joins a leadership class. Obviously, you're looking for people in Dickinson County who either live or work here, preferably from all geographic parts. It's not an Abilene-centric program.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about who's a good makeup, who would be good to go through the program?
Who typically joins the program? Number one, of course, you have your nonprofits, your schools, your hospitals who send people. Businesses send people. We've had individuals participate in the program on their own because they just want more training. From my experience, working with the John Deere dealer for years, we're backed by a giant corporation called John Deere Corporation.
Right.
They can train us on equipment and details forever. Where they lack is people training, leadership training. So anybody who is on a board or is in a business of any sort where you're dealing with people and having to make decisions and having to move forward with people would be people who would take this program.
Sure.
Lots of local business people end up on it, and the other thing I would say is lots of board people who are on boards, different nonprofit things,
Right.
anywhere where they're contributing and they want to make a difference.
Yeah, and you mentioned the John Deere, of course, being directly associated with them provides a lot of those types of resources to your company. But there are small to mid-sized companies here in the county that I know hire professional trainers to come in
Right.
and train their middle management folks to do some of the types of things we're going to talk about. But I think the local program would either supplement that existing training, or in some cases for smaller businesses that don't have the wherewithal to hire a professional trainer to come in. We do a really good job, 5 sessions, and the tuition is $200.
Right.
So it's not a large expense for the material covered relative to other avenues to get that same
Right.
training. Plus it's localized, which is kind of a neat thing. So that's kind of my way of encouraging our viewers and of course our member businesses who we do provide information about the training to them. If you've got middle management people or somebody who you think is good working with people but would like to take them that next step in leadership,
Right.
This is an excellent training for those folks.
The whole premise of the curriculum is leadership is an activity,
Right.
not a position. And we can all lead at different levels wherever we're at. Position is important and authority is important, but often authority and leadership activity don't always coincide together.
Right.
But that's important. The other direction that we're moving with the Leadership Dickinson County is to take that a step further in the community and to take specific segments of what we teach and offer them out into the community. Say a group is getting together and they're having some challenges communicating with a board that's just now put together and they're not familiar with each other. You might come to us through our current board, through our alumni, and say, we'd like you guys to put together some sort of a personality awareness training for our board. Or we'd like you to cover a topic of how we can get into a conversation over a difficult subject in a friendly way.
Right.
Then we would challenge ourselves to put together a quick session where we would take you through some exercises to help you find some ways to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
And the 5-day course, the full-blown class, each day there's a different leadership or personality trait issue explored, and they build on each other.
Right.
And one of the things you're trying to accomplish, or at least one of the key things for a manager in a business is conflict resolution.
Right.
And I know that's a big part of it. So what are some of the and maybe go class to class, maybe just kind of give an overview of what specifically is trained in. But what do you think are some of the highlights that someone would get training-wise and event-wise out of the program?
I think one of the most eye-opening ones that we always go through with people is when we start talking about solving problems. And we teach people how to go through an exercise where they can take a problem and separate it. Is it a problem of a technical nature, or is it a problem of an adaptive nature? Technical means that you just process a piece of paperwork this way instead of this way, and I've fixed the problem. Right. Technical would be there's an easy answer and just do it differently and everything's good. Adaptive means I may have to change my way of thinking, or may have to change my way of communicating with a group, or the world changed around me and I got to adapt to it. Right. Those are more difficult because they involve people changes. They involve the way we think changes, right, and the way we talk to people changes. And they're avoided a lot because people think that's a difficult conversation. Yeah. The other thing we talk about that's also a big one that helps people a lot is we teach you, we use different language, but what we do is we take you through exercises on how to ask difficult questions to really get to the root of what's going on. Because the challenge of leadership is to solve big problems and to motivate people to go along with you to solve them.
Well, how to inquire down to the root cause.
Down to the root cause.
Down to the root cause, and then when you identify that, how to recognize how people can adapt to that. Yep. And one of the and I know we're kind of jumping around a little bit, but one of the processes you go through in this program is learning how you learn yourself. Right. And there's a big introspective component to this, because as you said, do I look at something, find out it's adaptive, and then realize, okay, how do I need to change to make that happen? So there's a lot of self-evaluation and recognition involved in that part.
I'm really excited about our program this year. The first year we went into the teaching leadership skills, we had a consultant from the Kansas Leadership Center come and teach the class, and we observed as the board. Year 2 was last year, where we as board members went to Wichita for a 3-day session. We learned how to teach and present the material. Mm-hmm. This will be the second year that we've done that, so we'll have refined a tremendous amount from last year. And we teach these through exercises, through some presentations. The real exciting part in the community is we've adapted a panel for each class. And the topics we talk about at that panel, during that day, we invite a panel of local business people, healthcare, education. We try to mix it up to have a variety of the panel in whatever town we're in. The mission there, James, is so the class can quiz this panel of local experts on how do they handle some of these challenges. Right. The second thing that I'm really excited about this year is we're kind of upping our game a little bit. I mentioned the offer out to the community to challenge us to present some spot learning. We're incorporating a little deeper view into the personality awareness, which the main focus there is going to be learn about yourself first. How do you react? How do you learn best and learn that way? Right. And if James and if we're working together, it's important that I know how you react to how I naturally respond. And if there's a clash there, the two of us have got to meet in the middle. Right. And if we can learn that skill, I think we can do a lot better in everything we're trying to accomplish. Yeah, absolutely. And for, once again, tying this back to the real world, yes. If you've got, let's say you've got a production manager who, for whatever reason, there's an employee or a process that's just not quite working out right. Recognizing the people involved in that, how to work with them in a way that's not confrontational, in a way that's beneficial to both parties and gets the job done. Right. Is part of what this is about. And self-awareness and how you approach a problem up front is pretty important. Yeah. And learning what your triggers are and triggers
what
is a big one.
And that type of thing. So So it ties back to the health of your business, the health of your organization.
Absolutely.
And once again, it's a training that I know, some of the businesses here locally do spend quite a bit of money to put their managers through. And here's an opportunity to do that at a relatively low cost locally. Now, I think one of the most fun sessions, and it was for me, and I've hosted these and done some tours, is the getting to know the community. The community.
Yeah.
What do we call it now?
We call it a scavenger hunt.
Scavenger hunt.
We'll
Yes.
start each day, and our class will divide into groups, and we'll go to the four corners of the county with a check sheet of things that they need to come back to with answers for.
Right.
So they'll spend the first half of the day doing that. Then they convene, and each group gets to report back to the whole what they discovered down in Harrington that nobody would have known about. Or what happened over in Solomon that they learned on their day over there that we're all surprised that goes on over in Solomon.
Yeah.
And there's always been one of those things where everybody says, gee, I didn't know that.
I had no idea that went on here. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's one of the things I know is and what's always fascinated me about the business and communities in general is there's so many things going on that you don't know about. And you drive to and from work, or you ride your bike, you go walking, whatever, and you walk by a building every day, and you don't really think about what goes on in that building. And the scavenger hunt is an opportunity to do those things. And basically, you do tours of businesses or organizations, hospitals, schools, power plants, manufacturing facilities, and it's always interesting what's going on here and the talents that people have.
Yeah, we pick up a lot from the scavenger hunt, and we learn a lot of tidbits from our panels at each school, at each session also. But those two things do bring a lot of, they show us the diversity in the county that we really don't know is there.
Yeah.
And we could all appreciate more.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and it does, there's definitely a conscious effort to get information from all of the communities involved. And tell us a little bit about how are there some challenges in that, or what seems to be the difficulty sometimes in getting that level of diversity involved?
The difficulty becomes we're working with, in a smaller county here, we're dealing with a lot of smaller businesses. We're dealing with, it may be a business owner running the whole show. It may be a business owner who has a part-time employee or two. The first thing that makes that difficult is, how do I spend 5 half-a-days away from that?
Right.
That's tough. The training's tough. For $200, we're offering a really good overview that would connect you to a resource for deeper study or deeper learning. You're talking about something that if we went to a Dale Carnegie or whatever you want to call it, we're going to spend a couple $1,000s a person.
Yeah.
And that's just not achievable for a lot of people. We're also going 5 half-a-days as opposed to a week away. But the big challenge is, how do I do that 5 half-a-days away?
Right.
And we understand there's some people that feasibly maybe can't get that done. But if it's 2 people there, the 5 half-a-days we think are doable in some cases. We moved it to 5 half-days to compensate for that, as opposed to 5 full days. Sure. And we break them out over 2 or 3 weeks apart each time. Big challenge is that, and the other big challenge is the geographic of our county. We move our sessions around to make sure that we're covering all corners of the county. So if people are involved from Harrington, we're going to have at least 1 day in Harrington.
Right.
And we do exploration of Harrington, and our panel that day is all from Harrington. Same as Abilene or Solomon or Enterprise. The challenge is twofold. It's getting people from those outskirt areas involved.
Right.
And number 2 is finding the time, and we understand that. So those are our 2 big challenges that we're often fighting.
Yeah. Well, and fortunately, we do have, and it's a difficulty in terms of finding people in all of these communities to do it. But that's also it's also good because you do get to go to all these other
Yes.
towns and get to meet people in these other towns, and that's advantageous. And I'll just tell you from personal experience, it's been 11 years since I went through the program, and the people that I went through the program with, if I see them on the street, there is a connection.
Right.
There's a connection today, and it's definitely something that's good for your personal growth and your business growth as well. So it's I'm strongly encouraging you out there, if you have any interest at all in getting training on leadership and self-awareness and resolution conflict and all these different things that managers, mid-managers, people on boards can use. I strongly encourage you to contact the Chamber office or the K-State Extension office and get more information about it. And so getting geared up for the class of 2017, how's that going so far?
It's going pretty well. We've started our promotion where we're taking applications. I would also encourage anyone who's considering that to come and find out. Call one of us, get a hold of me, I'll come spend some time with you. We recently, James, mailed out 52 packets to some local organizations and chamber members.
Major employers.
With just some information on there. It's a letter. It has my phone number in it and the contact info. Just stating, here's what we are, here's our session, and inviting you to come and check us out.
Sure.
Another interesting thing we have going is we offer each class, if they choose, to do a community project. Last year's class chose promotional signs in the cities, which they're moving forward on and getting some signs put up. Last year's class chose to reignite the Leadership Dickinson County Youth Program.
Right.
And that's moving along pretty well. It might go a couple of different directions, but I can see that really getting some traction and being a fantastic opportunity for some of our high school students throughout the county.
Yeah, and I remember the old youth program. You had up to three students from each of the high schools, and it was interesting getting all those kids in one room, and so they didn't have their schooling background was just a little bit different, and they had different
The potential launch of this one was interesting. It was a leadership exercise in itself, because of course it's adults sitting down saying, hey, let's start a youth program, James, and we're putting on paper everything we think we need the youth to know.
Right.
And a gentleman from the Kansas Leadership Center we invited up, he said, whoa, put the brakes on. Why don't you go survey the students and find out what their challenges are? And we had to swallow that.
Yeah.
But we did just that. We surveyed from several of the high schools and got a lot of information back.
And it was a completely different list than you came up with.
Way different list. But I think now we challenge ourselves to put together a program that meets that. But we got a lot of really good information, and it'll be a real challenge. But I think there will be something fantastic come out of that.
Very good. Very good. Well, Troy, I appreciate your time today.
Yep.
And just to kind of reiterate, if you do have interest in the Leadership Dickinson County program, you can contact Troy. What's your phone number? Good phone number for you?
My phone number would be 785-280-0978.
Okay.
And just call me anytime. I would be glad to come and answer questions or go over what we've got going on here a little more. Sure.
And you can also find out more information at the Chamber office at 785-263-1770. Also, the Erin Tilton, who's the city clerk over in Chapman, she's also a point of contact for applications and information. So get in contact with her if you're in the Chapman area. And then, of course, K-State Extension office here in Abilene. So, it's a wonderful class. Having gone through it, you build lifelong skills and acquaintances, friends, and build the business acumen of your business and make your people better. So I think it's a great program and one that needs to be supported by your participation. So if you do have an interest, contact us. We're taking applications. Official deadline is December 1st, but usually classes are about 12 to 15 people.
Yeah, 12 to 15 is a really good number.
So that's what we shoot for. So anyway, I appreciate you watching today. Hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving, which is this coming Thursday, a week from today. That tells you when we're filming. So yeah, have a great time with your families over Thanksgiving. Enjoy the long holiday. Read a book is what I suggest, and if you read my article today. And we'll see you in December.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.